I started by digging a hole in the backyard. It didn't have to be that deep, but it had to be wide enough so that the fire couldn't spread to the nearby grass. If you intend to do something similar to this video and follow along, make absolutely certain that your local area allows for open burning. And this should go without saying, but also make sure that there are no gas lines, electrical lines, sewer, anything else beneath where you're about to create your forge. My next step was to burn the ground so that I could make sure that there weren't any organics that were going to interfere with what was coming next. I had an old fire pit with a brick ring around it that wasn't being used anymore, so I repurposed some of the bricks for this project. I created a ring with the bricks to contain the fire I was about to create. This would be the basis for my new forge. I collected some dry dead wood from the area and put it inside my new burn pit. One of the easiest ways to start fires is to get some old newspaper that you're not using, ball it up, and ignite it. Make sure to create a viable hole to put your newspaper in underneath all the things that you want to light on fire, unlike what I do here. This will help make sure that the fire actually gets going. Technically speaking, you can skip this step. You don't really need to burn the dirt beneath where you're going to build a forge. It's just helpful in case you want to make sure that there's no root systems that might catch on fire or anything to that effect. I let this fire burn all its fuel to completion, at least as much as it was willing to burn for me. This is a good time to mention, but the bricks that I had used for this project had been soaking in water for days on end due to all the rain, and this becomes a problem later, so make sure that bricks that you want to use are dry, that way you can continue using them. Wet bricks will release steam and eventually crack from the inside out. Make sure for every step that involves burning anything, you're wearing a face mask. These fumes can cause a lot of discomfort and in some cases even be dangerous. I ended up making some natural charcoal here, which you can see by how easily it leaves behind black marks when you smear it across the brick. This is how my first forge looked as I built it. There is a major flaw that I need to get into real quick. This is the first pipe that I had used to build my forge as the air intake. Do not use galvanized steel. What they use to coat galvanized steel creates very toxic fumes when it burns in a forge environment. Even if you have a respirator or a face mask on or anything like that, that won't help. Just don't use galvanized steel. Trust me, I fixed this later. Another mistake that I made was buying this packed charcoal. This is not good stuff. Don't buy this. It won't get as hot as natural charcoal known as lump charcoal. This is what you want. I put all the shitty charcoal at the bottom of my forge and I put a bunch of wood on top of that so I could create a fire that burns down. I'm also pumping air into the bottom of the forge through that pipe using this good old fashioned bellows. What that's doing is providing enough oxygen for the fire to get really hot down near the charcoals, hot enough to work steel. Another mistake that I made with my first homemade forge was that the bellows was far too small. It couldn't get enough air into the fire to sustain a nice high temperature. You can watch the fire react with every pump of the bellows, but it's not going to be getting hot enough. I'm even trying to cover the forge with more bricks on top to keep all that heat inside. Unfortunately, this restricts the amount of airflow and I'd have to pump the bellows even harder. In hindsight, even if the airflow was enough at this point, this would be unsustainable for creating a working forge. It's been about an hour and a half of burning by this point. All of my wood has turned into this white ash, and I still can't get it hot enough for working temperature on my piece of rebar. For those of you that don't know, rebar is like a steel rod that you can buy at most home improvement stores. My goal here is a red or even yellow hot glow coming off the rebar, but nothing. This was after I learned about my mistake when it came to galvanized steel, so this is black steel. This is safe. I also rebuilt the forge when I reinstalled the black iron pipe. I made it more compact, which helps me save on fuel. And I thought it was time for an upgrade when it came to the airflow department, so here I've got a leaf blower. After getting another fire started inside the forge and loading it with charcoal, it was loud, and it gave too much air. I had to fire it in bursts to make sure that I wasn't blowing all the charcoal out of the forge. But it gave me the airflow to finally have success on my project. Now all that's left is just to hammer away at it with the cheapest materials I could find to reshape it into something cool. There are a lot of things that I could have improved on. My anvil was made out of cast iron, which made it very easily dented. The aforementioned airflow problems, the charcoal problems, and do not use galvanized steel like I did the first time around. Also, I'm wearing leather gloves for my own safety, but even then, I can still feel the heat of the rebar and I can't work with it too much. That's why you should buy tongs if you're going to do this for yourself. It's a miracle I could make anything at all. I don't have any footage of the final product because I ran out of fuel and time, so I'll get back to you with that. And here's the aftermath of my forge. I'll come back to this, don't you worry. Make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know of any projects you guys want to see. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. This has been Universal University. Goodbye.